Okay. Good morning. I'd like to start out by welcoming all of you to our meeting of February 20th here at the Health Department. First of all, although it says call to order, I'd like to call the meeting to order, but first of all, I'd like to welcome Ms. Jackie Rodriguez. Welcome.
Thank you.
You're from Ruth B.
I'm from
Cow.
the Ruth B. Cow Rehabilitation Center.
Okay. And I know that I made a joke about it, but it's actually true, okay? It took us more than a year to get you in here, okay?
I'm glad I'm
You
here.
had been part of the discussion like a year and a half ago or two, and for some reason we kept burying you.
Back burner.
The way we're gonna boot people out for you, I said, no, hombre, ¿qué te pasa?
Glad
So-
to be here.
Thank you. So thank you for being here. First of all, we have the review and approval of minutes for the January 15th meeting. You all should have a copy of those, I think.
Yes.
You want that?
Does she have a copy?
Hello?
Hi, how are you?
Ya llegué, I'm in the right place.
Ciudadano, buenos días.
Buenos días.
Buenos días.
Morning,
Buenos días. ¿Aquí es?
Sí, yes. Hacele, Mr. Rodrigo.
Right here.
Hacele.
Ah, okay, thank you.
Viene muy guapo, ¿de dónde viene?
Pues del trabajo.
Con cuidado. Con cuidado.
Yo te hablo, hijo. ¿Cómo está mi ocasión?
Bien, bien, pues thank you for being here.
Yeah,
So we're going over the minutes, okay? So I don't know, we may have sent them to you
oh
already.
yes, I got
Yes,
one.
okay.
Yes. Todo está bien.
So if there are any changes or revisions or anything you all feel, for those of you who were here last time?
Mr. Castillon,
Mande.
there's no revisions. The only thing is I was present via phone and they have me as absent.
Okay,
I was on the phone also.
we'll forgive you this one.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
And me too. I will be a phone.
So Rebecca, you were here by phone. Jaime, you were here by phone too?
I was
Yes,
on
sir.
Yes.
Okay, and Mr. Delgado, let me see. I have you as in attendance, so you're fine.
That's true because remember we said everybody was here present the
Yeah.
last time.
I was the first one on the phone.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Okay, so we'll just make those changes a little bit. Thank you.
Yeah, just that it was we had a full committee present.
Any changes? Okay, so then I need someone to motion to accept the minutes. I
Yes,
need
I
someone to
motion
second.
And a
Okay,
second.
thank you. Any public comments? No one signed up, right? No one signed up? Okay. So the next item is the introduction of Ms. Jackie Rodriguez, which we already did that. Unless you want to tell us about your life and stuff like that.
I don't want to bore you with it.
You wanted it, órale.
Well, no, like I said, I'm happy to be here. I'm the director there at Ruth B. Cow. I've been there for most of my life. I love what I do. I like helping people. We're always looking for new programs to bring to the center that will help children with disabilities, and not just the children, but the parents of children. I know right now we're the only ones that are offering summer camp for special needs children in cooperation with South Lakes Development Council. And we're talking about bringing more of those camps. It started out with one. Right now, last year I think we had how many? I think 3. And hopefully, it's for the children, and we have a lot of support from the community when it comes for bringing in food or having people come in or specialists come in. And it's not just a camp, but the children are also learning and having different through therapy through play and things like that. So, and plus the parents really appreciate it, that they are able to step away knowing that they're in the care of professionals and specialists that will take good care of them. Some of these children are very involved, involves tube feeding, wheelchairs and things like that. So we get very excited when we're going to start preparing for whether it's a Christmas camp or a Mother's Day camp or summer camp. So, and we want to continue and keep adding to that. So I'm excited that.
What is the age for the summer camp?
Well, okay, yes,
It is 5 to 12.
5 to 12. And it's not as, it can change
Sure.
also. We're also talking to one of the insurance society out of
United Healthcare.
United Healthcare, and also bringing maybe some type of camps for adults, young adults that are over the age of 21. There's so little things that are offered for them out in the community, and it looks like we're going to get together and see how we can bring some of those events for them as well.
So what capacity of volume of kids do you have room for?
We have a large room. I invite you to come into the center to our kids zone. It's large. Jaime, you've been there. Mr. Guy. And it's we know each other
For many years.
For many years. And so we have we can fit up to 100 or.
Okay, that's good.
But we keep it, since we started off with 25. But now, and then when we did it for the first time, we did it for 2 weeks. So we had first group, I think how many, like 60 children the first week, and then another 60 the second week. So, the parents are calling all the time, are you gonna have it again? Are you gonna have it again? At Christmas, I know we did it one night so that the parents go out and have dinner and do shopping, but there are other children, sometimes the mother has to stay home, and they need a break. So they were able to go out shopping, we stayed with them until 10 p.m. So they got to go out to dinner, to the movies, things that they don't normally do together because someone has to stay at home with that special needs child.
Is there a cost for that?
Actually, with the South Texas Development Council, it's a grant that we applied for. So the parents pay nothing.
Wow.
So we're trying to build on that as well.
So your typical camp lasts for how long?
Well, it depends. Like that time, the first time we had it was 2 weeks for the summer. And then the next time it was a spring break. I think it was 1 week.
Spring break, Mother's Day, Christmas.
And summer. And the summer is usually a week. They said maybe we could break it down because they gave us 3 weeks and said, well, maybe we can break it down to where we can have several camps during the year instead of just one long one. And so, with that said, depending on the amount of the grant, because we do have to hire outside people, like, a CNA that will be able, because some of these children are also not, they wear Pampers, things like that, so we have to have a staff there. But we all go in there and help. We enjoy it so much.
I'm sure.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you. No, thank you for the work you do. I know that Ruth B. Cal's been there forever.
60 years this year.
I grew up like 3 blocks away from there. So,
Really?
yeah.
Yes, and so it's wonderful to still be there and to keep it going.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank God.
So, you're now the director, but so then if you said you've been there forever, then you were there previous to that.
Yes, I actually started off as a patient because I am a polio survivor. I went there as a child, had 6 surgeries. I couldn't really walk. So after 6 surgeries throughout the state of, all the way up to Minnesota in the Mayo Clinic, to San Antonio, and then I would spend most of my summers going to therapy there. And then I started off with the MED program, Motivation, Education, and Training, because I come from a family of migrants. So I started there with that, and then they hired me. And then I was most in every department, you can call it washing dishes, cleaning, whatever. And then, moved up. And I am so proud and glad and honored to be there as a director now, giving back.
Good. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll have a lot to contribute, and we welcome you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item is the discussion, possible action on meeting with Ms. Melinda Bermudez. I know she's not here, right?
Miss Melina Bermudez not, but she's running late because she was called
Okay.
up to the city manager's office.
To discuss the current and ongoing agreements to hire persons with disabilities, implement internship programs, work workforce development, sensitivity training with city employees, training of city workforce to improve services for people with disabilities in any matter thereof. So it's like you've got like a whole agenda, okay? Okay, so I don't know how we want to start, because my star witness that is the one who pushed and for the city of Laredo to be more involved is Ms. Gutierrez, and she's not here. She didn't say whether she's going to be here, right?
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I don't know if she responded. I don't think I saw.
Well, I don't know if you all want to contribute as you all want to, whatever. Are you Miss?
I am.
I was just asking about you.
Yes.
Castillo,
Nice to meet you.
You were gonna go on the blacklist. No, as you all well know, the committee, although the committee has several agenda or missions or visions about what we want to do, okay, one of to promote and to disseminate information regarding services for individuals with disability, whether those are emotional, physical, whatever they may be, okay. One of the struggles that we've had in one of the agenda items that we've been from the very get-go has been to find positions or jobs for individuals with disabilities. And so that's been one of our biggest struggles, okay? And not only the private sector, but the public sector as well. And so I'm gonna try to be as emotional as Ms. Gutierrez is about this. But one of our members, her job is to push and promote for individuals with disabilities, okay? And so on a number of occasions, we've had an opportunity to sit down with the city managers, and they were more than willing to be part of and contribute to increasing the number of individuals with disabilities to be hired, not only throughout the entire city of Laredo, but specifically municipalities and the county and things of that nature. And so I know that she's raised some concerns in the past about the city of Laredo, and those have been addressed. And so I don't know where we are with those. I don't know if have you had an opportunity to meet Ms. Gutierrez? Salud. Sí?
Yes, we've spoken several times. We've met a few times in person, more so on the phone, through email.
Okay.
It's faster for us. But
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's been real concerned about that, and so and I know that the city of Laredo has been more than willing to assist, okay, in opening up certain positions for individuals with disabilities. And so there's a whole list here, so I can keep talking, but let me why don't I hand it over to you, and then we can go from there.
So I know that Carol has a list of job openings, job listings that we currently have. For me, the most important thing is to make sure that we find something meaningful, right? It's not just for the sake of getting a job or a task, right? We want to make sure that it has a positive impact, not just on the particular person that we place, but there needs to be an awareness of those, whether it's director, or hiring manager, or hiring supervisor. And that's kind of really more my focus at this point. Yes, we can create awareness, sensitivity training, but in my experience and what I would really advocate for is something that's a little bit more meaningful for those who are in the position to hire, right? And so human resources doesn't hire for particular departments. Right. They do their own hiring. So I would really love and be able to partner, and I know that Carol was mentioning this earlier. I don't know if you said it already.
I haven't.
Okay.
Because we were barely starting on this item.
We're waiting on you.
So I haven't even.
Sorry, I got called up and I was just terrible. And so for me, it's really what we're wanting to do is a behavioral change, right?
Right.
We all know that that's the hardest thing
Yes.
to do. And so if we say training, I don't want the same training that we do all the time. It has to be impactful for those people who are in the position to actually hire others. And that's really kind of my focus at this point, is that I love to partner with you all so that there is something that's a little bit more meaningful, and it doesn't go through just the same thing that we've always done, if that makes sense. And so Carol had the idea of us being able to partner with the IRS so that it's not just about the sensitivity training, but how can we enact, how can we promote that behavioral change for what it is that we're looking for. And so beyond the be aware of, right, and tips, suggestions, we're really looking to make an emotional connection with this, right? And so if we're saying that we want something not for the interim, because it's certainly not my position to do it for a period of time. If we're saying that this is what we want to do from now on, we're going to have to appeal to the emotion of this. And simply that's what it is. And so really that's, I can't speak to what was done before I got here, or the emphasis that was placed, but I feel that this area really needs to be built up so that it doesn't become, oh, let's hire somebody or let's give someone with a disability an opportunity. That it becomes, this is the person regardless of disability or not. Let's
Focus
hire.
on the ability rather than the disability.
Exactly. And so for me, I think that that's really the first thing that we need to do and hit hard on. And while completely understand, again, behavioral change is the hardest, it's the thing that takes the most amount of time. I feel if we take the time that it needs, and I'm not suggesting years, but a good campaign of awareness, of education, of impact, and truly it's not just, okay, at the city we're getting this, or at the county they're getting that, or any other private organization you're getting this. It's about an impact for the community as a whole. And if we say, we always compare ourselves to other communities right there.
And we're way
and we're way behind,
Yeah.
right? With a lot of things.
Yeah.
But this one we have at our hands to make that change. And so that's why sorry for that impassioned plea there. But that's really where I feel is really the first area of opportunity for us.
So what you're saying, to reiterate what you're saying, okay, what you're telling me is that the sensitivity training is fine. However, it's not sufficient to impact your hiring authority supervisors, okay? Those individuals with the hiring authority to how they could or should be willing or to accept and be willing to identify individuals who have the capability, capacity, abilities to fulfill the whatever job requires. And then the other part about that is, it's not just about saying, well, we need somebody to literally just go dig a hole, let's hire them just to go dig a hole. That's not what we're saying.
Right.
We're saying it's gotta have some meaning and impact to their life, okay, that they are contributing significantly to their community or their society.
Exactly.
I think the word we're looking for is gainful employment, right? We want to assure that we're a community that can advocate and supply gainful employment to an individual. So Marta, San Miguel, and myself, we represent Workforce Solutions, Texas Workforce Solutions for vocational rehabilitation services. And we had a job fair, which of course Carol was a great advocate with us, and Ms. Alonso. They actually came to our center, and we did the whole application process prior to a reverse job fair that we held. And the barrier that we had is the individuals with visual impairments. And you want to chime in, Martha?
Yes, because I was out actually on maternity leave, but when I came back, my customers were really excited about that opportunity because since it was a reverse job fair, they felt that they were contributing since they worked on their resumes, like they were prepared. So they're like, I will be getting a job. And of course, as you know, the city of Laredo, it's one of the biggest companies aside from the hospitals, the schools, to hire. And when we sent them over to fill out an application, you do need to enter a Texas driver's license, and our customers, they're able to find transportation, either a Metro, Uber, Lyft, family members, and right off the bat, they were most likely, their application was probably, not submitted to the hiring manager just because of that. And I actually had several, I want to say they were qualified applicants, with finance, and even then, just them wanting to get a position as a custodian, they couldn't even apply for it. So much less. And then during the following week, I had a new customer come in. The same. He was wanting to find employment within his major interest was within the city of Laredo, something having to do with finance, accounting, and I was like, and we tried to do the application online, and yes, of course it has that. And I understand that it's mostly, to gather, do the background check and things like that. But then these individuals wouldn't even be able to, to be considered for an interview. So, I don't know. And I know we spoke about this about a year ago. We had addressed this, but again, time just passed by, and we were met with this again this time around with the reverse job fair because there was an interest in several of the positions. So again, I don't know what can be done about that. We're not saying just remove it and not but maybe something that can
a workaround. How do we work around that, knowing that we have this individual who is fully qualified to do whatever that position is, but yet the barrier to that employment is the lack of that requirement. So how do we work around that?
I was going to add just something. I mean, I'm listening. I'm an employment specialist for the state of Texas. I work alongside.
Ceci Gutierrez.
I'm Ceci Gutierrez. I know you are. I'm glad you know.
I used you as my shield when I started. I said, she's not here. She chickened out on us, man. But she's the one who told about this.
No, I'm not. No shield needed.
No shield.
And I always tell people, I said, I listen and then I think, okay, I guess I'm overly passionate about things, and one of the things that I'm listening to what she's saying, I'm listening to what you're saying, but I don't hear any timelines. And she just echoed my sentiment. She says, we did this a year ago. So we can talk a lot, but if we don't set timelines, we're not going to move forward. And in the meantime, people lose out on an opportunity, not only the people who are wanting to get hired, but the people who are going to work with them. I have a perfect example. I have a young man working at the finance department right now. We're being paid by Texas Workforce, a collaborative effort of all entities. And he is contributing to the lives of the people that are working there because they're seeing the potential in an individual that would have not other had a chance had the city, Texas Workforce, Texas Vocational Programs, and Crazy Me come together to think that something could be possible. But I do push for timelines, and the reason I push for timelines is because we're here, sitting here, and I kept telling people at the VRC committee, I didn't join the committee because I wanted the blue shirt with the blue ribbon committee. I joined because I want to make a difference, and I think all of us are here. So, realistically speaking, I think what I would want is I want to know within what time frame are we going to look at the possibility of accommodating for that. And that and other areas, and I know that you and I have talked about it, I'm grateful for that, but we need to see some end to this at some point. So I'm saying maybe 3 months from now, a month from now, at least we know where we're going to hit and where that we have some hope.
If I may, I just wanted to add, and again, me too, my name is Patricia Nicona, I'm with Texas Workforce Solutions for South Texas. I always get the name wrong. Anyway, I'm the student hire quality navigator. I do speak to schools. I speak to schools on behalf of the students and parents. I speak to employers.
I speak to anybody that will listen about opportunities for our community with disabilities. And you're right, I couldn't agree with you more that it has to be an impact. There has to be a mind change, and it can't be interim. Absolutely not. This needs to move forward, and I've always thought it, I always believed it, I always said it. I do want to thank the city of Laredo because they do, we even though, and yes, we all want, I mean, I think, I agree with everyone in this room. And we want to do it, we want to do it now, we're here for the same purpose, I believe. But we have made great cooperations and collaborations with the city of Laredo when it comes to the summer and learn program. We began doing that and exposing our students and exposing the public, you know, that these positions can be fulfilled. However, when you talk about when you talk with employers, it's even when they're just speaking to me about, you know, giving somebody the opportunity and is it gonna work? You know, I've had, you know, something like that, and they don't realize that behind a person who has a disability that is already capable of maintaining an employment, they've already been through so many steps with all these, you know, wonderful resources they have, the job coaching, the training, you know, the setting, the ambient, they go through many steps to get to where they are. And these human resource managers or employers need to be aware that these people are completely capable. And you're right, like if there has to be an impact, there has to be, and we have to move forward, but yes, we're also pushing for guidelines, for deadlines and, you know, when are we gonna have this done? But I just wanted to say that if, you know, that's where I come from, that's what I'm trying to do, you know, I speak to employers, at the workforce, you know, we had a White Cane Day, all the staff got very involved, they all participated. I mean, we did a walk, we did a training, the staff was included in the training, but it was a very interactive training. Those are the type of things that I think that we need to put out there so that people can see that it's possible. And it's doable, it's possible, and yes, I go to other cities, and it is a little discouraging to see the difference. Where over there, like, people with disabilities are just our community. They're people, hardworking, people with abilities that they can contribute so much to their community, and it's so sad that we here can't see it. So I just, you know, wanted you to know that that's my perspective, and that I agree with all of you, and just want to let you know that we keep on, you know, we keep on behind the scenes, like a lot of things going on. Just wanted to let you know.
And just to add, you know, there's so many services out there, and I think that's where we need to start is, you know, what services are out there, because when these individuals come to an employer, they don't know that we've got the VR counselors, you know, we've got assistive technology, we've got the job skills trainers. They don't go into that job alone if in fact they're needing a job skills trainer. There's a lot of supports at no cost. I mean, those are our tax dollars at work. So let's put it to work, you know, for our community to become a more inclusive community. And that's all we want.
To go back to something that you said, Cecily, passion is important. If for no passion, then there would be no advocacy of anything.
That's right.
And so I'm never going to fault you or anyone else for passion or speaking strongly for something. I came here, it hasn't even been 8 months since I've been employed with the city, right? And so there's a long list, very, very long list of things that I hope to positively impact and accomplish. Of course, that meaningful change that I was speaking of is one of them, right? And so we're certainly not the experts on what you've provided, what kind of training you've provided in the past. Was there some sort of ROI, return on investment, that was established from that or gained from that? If so, let's keep that component of what that training looks like. If not, let's add to that. Coming from the private sector, this was not an issue because we were able to institute a whole bunch of other programs.
Like, you guys are shocked in the public sector.
It is.
It is.
It's huge, right? And so there's a lot of, I'll say, just tribal knowledge of things and how things were done in the past or have continued to be. And one thing, and I'm sure Carol can say that I've always said, just because we've done it a certain way for so long doesn't mean it's the right way, right? We also have to engage with others, we have to go with the times, so it's not just this project, but it's really everything that Human Resources has a hand in touching. And so from a timeline perspective, I come from a organizational development background, right? The best thing, the most thing that I love is training and facilitation, right? That makes me happy. Oda can attest to that because she's with me every Wednesday in a leadership class that I facilitate.
That's awesome.
Right? And so from that perspective, I would really love to partner with you so that we can, as I was speaking of, I'm not the subject matter expert, but I can help in formulating a training that's going or that would really advocate for that emotional response, not just for the city, but for anyone who hires, right? And you take that and we go. And it's a partnership amongst all of us to be able to say, this is who we are and this is what we want, right? From the perspective of the driver's licenses, right? So I can't say, we've looked into various pieces and parts, not as it relates to this, but just the overall requirement for driver's licenses, right? As it's come up with other things. And so right now, we're still kind of looking into what is, I'll say this, in the public sector, what is it within our realm of responsibility, scope, what can we do, right? And so we're not quite finished with the research for that, and any specific stipulations and guidelines that exist for the public sector. Again, if it were private, I have workarounds, but, so that's something that we continue to look into. I would say in a month, I'd be able to give you kind of a status update to see what it is where are we, what can we do. If it's not a solidified, this is what we're doing, at least it's an update for you for this is where we're at, right? Or this is what we've discovered, so to speak.
And we don't want it to be all one-sided, know that we want to partner, and I think all at the table will agree that we're here to support that endeavor, you know, at the capacity that we all can do that. I don't think anybody has to go at it alone. I think we're all committed to our community to be more inclusive. So we'll roll our sleeves up, we'll get to work and see what we can make happen.
I really think that's where, you know, that change is going to come from, right? And I say again, and I know I speak for Carol and her recruitment team and the learning and development function that she oversees as well, is that we're not the experts, but we can help guide and mentor and provide the expertise in terms of how to do those things, right? What to deliver, the types of words to use, the types of colors to use with it, because there's always a psychology. Exactly, there's a psychology behind all of that, right? And so something that I always say is that I don't want people to do something because I tell them to. I want them to do it because they believe. Right. And so we need to make them believe. Right? And so that's really where, in my opinion, that's where we're at.
Going back to educating.
Yeah.
And training.
And make sure, and make sure that they know, if they don't know the answer to something, because we don't know the answer to everything, all of us, they know the resources where to get them. You know, let me call so-and-so, or let me look up so-and-so, so they can know exactly, you know, if they have a question or a doubt, and then they can be more empowering for them.
And I wanted to add just one last thing. Recently we had an event where we had a prom-like event for people with disabilities. Senator Safadini showed up. And I had been in her office over the fact that I as an educator, I thought I'd done a really good job until kids graduated from high school and they didn't have a place to go. So now the state has the SEAL program is a perfect example of financial investment. You talked about return on investment. I don't know those phrases, I just learned something new today. And I talked to the senator, I said, you know what, we're pouring all these funds that are great because we have places to practice. But in reality, once they hit 22 and they're starting to go back, there's still people practicing, so employers don't have to hire. So I'm in dialogue with her because I think there has to be some accountability for the practicing places that say, you know, for our tax dollars, because we want to get a return on investment. So we sat down. I'm going to be meeting with her on a monthly basis, and the idea is that we want to educate. We want to make sure that people understand why they're investing and bringing people over to do internships and work experiences, because the hope is that 2-3 years from now our people will be more educated and that return on investment would be great, because we shouldn't be opening up the windows of our cars and letting the money fly out with no idea where we're gonna go. So when I talk about timelines and everything, I'm grateful for this because I think about it. I look at all this and I'm thinking, as a teacher, Jaime can tell you, we dream about these things. And to be living it right now is the most amazing thing. So I am grateful for what you do. And that timeline of a month, even if we don't have a solidified answer, gives us hope as an entity that we're going to make a difference for others. So thank you.
Absolutely. I just so that, I don't speak about this just to give you, just to
Put a Band-Aid.
yeah, that's not really what I'm looking for. And in council meetings, I've said this in meetings with other directors, and as I go and visit other places and locations, my job is to be an advocate for people. And when I say that, the people in my charge right now really are the employees of the city of Laredo and the retirees of the city. That is my charge. I am responsible for them, right? But then we expand it a little bit and we say, well, I also have a responsibility to every applicant, every candidate, every interviewee, anyone who applies. And so when you think about the entire candidate experience, right, there needs to be some level of customer care. And so, or not customer care, candidate care. And so really that's the component. And so when I say all these things, I really do mean them, right? It really is to make sure that we positively, that the Human Resources Department as a whole can positively impact the community as a whole. And so I really believe that this is the way to do it. In terms of training, in terms of this, whether you call it education, awareness training, whatever we want to call it, I would love really, I'll ask you guys for some timelines now. You tell us, right? And so Carol or I can make ourselves available to be able to go over whether it's PowerPoints or brochures or whatever it is that's happening and put that spin, right? And so I'm not gonna pressure you guys with, what or how right now, but in our perspective, or my perspective, that's one of the first things that we need to do. We'll have and continue the research happening, that's not gonna stop. But from the other perspective, if we're saying, okay, let's go, then really let's put, some sort of maybe timeline, guideline in terms of that. And you let us know when there's something that you want us to review or have a workshop with or partner on, those types of things. And I'll make myself available for that.
That's great. And I think, we would come to the table, maybe a very informal meeting.
Yeah.
That we can say, hey, you know what, this is what we're needing, and then bring those subject matter experts to the table to assure that we're feeding the information that is required and that you're needing. Let's go bring that value. Absolutely.
When it comes to my program, just let me know the time and date, and
Okay.
I'll be more than glad to give a presentation or talk to a group of people. It could be 10, it could be 10,000. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, when it comes to my program, that's what I do.
Thank you.
So anything, whenever, just tell me, hey, these are the dates. What do you think? And should make myself available. Okay.
So just to shed a little bit more light on the structure, and I'm going to talk to the commission. So it's the Texas Workforce Commission. Underneath that commission, there's an appointed board. Underneath that appointed board, there's a working board, which is Mr. Trevino, Ms. Barrera. Under that working board, there's a contractor, which is the Workforce Solutions Center, and they're contracted. So we go out on bids, and you get that contract, whoever that may be. So right now, it's Circle running that contract. So that's a Workforce Solutions South Texas. So the commission pulled what used to be DARS under Vocational Rehabilitation Texas Workforce Commission. So we're all aligned, and we're now one. They look for the jobs, we've got the folks looking for work. The commission says, hey, let's put it together, just so you can kind of understand the way that.
I appreciate that.
And I'm going to say and I'm going to say at the bottom of the seat, because I'm like,
You're a shrimp,
I'm sure.
And actually, my position was my program was funded and developed in order to kind of meet in the middle the vocational rehabilitation Texas workforce aspect with the workforce solutions aspect. So to me, it's more like, yes, we're about employment, workforce, but we're also about employment and workforce for people with disabilities. And my program is for students, which is 14 to 22. But I took it a little longer because I said those 22-year-olds are gonna need employment. And while I'm in this platform, like I'm gonna use every single inch, every single second to make sure that we open up those opportunities for them. So that's what I do. So about my program, like just let me know and again, like I try to learn as much as I can about VR, which is formerly DARS, and I try to learn as much as I can about the services the workforce provides as well. Because sometimes they may not go through one avenue, but like I said, it's always good to have them know where they can find other resources that they can maybe, they can be available to them. So just know. And thank you for that clarification.
Oh, no, yeah, because people get all confused.
Yeah,
Because one is Workforce Solutions for South Texas, and then we're Texas Workforce Solutions Vocation Rehabilitation. So they're like, oh, you find job, we do everything, what do you need?
We'll
Just tell me, we'll get it down. We'll process
Just to point out a number of things, okay? I spent 25 years at Border Region, okay? So I dealt with a lot of people with intellectual disabilities and mental health issues, okay? And I want to tell you what I think the difference is between the city that's out there in Austin or San Antonio and Laredo. That's a cultural, that's a family thing. And we protect our children, okay, from the outside world, especially and most foremost when they have a disability. Let's protect them. Let's keep them here at the house. We expose them to the real world. They're going to get injured or damaged or emotionally inflicted. Okay, and so we saw that at the center all the time, where people would keep their child who needed interventions at home, and they kept them there for as much as they could, and they prolonged it, and they broke up the treatment as far as they could and in between, because the best thing was la casa, okay? La casa y la familia te cuidamos, okay? And that's not always the case. And I think that transfers a lot to the work environment, okay, where my child is like this, and unfortunately when you've been protected like that, you also start believing that as well as the consumer or the client or the employee who's needing to go out there and work, okay? And so I think that's one of our issues here as a culturally, and you go to San Antonio, you go anywhere in any store, and you see a gentleman that's sitting there in the chair, and he can barely speak and barely move, but he's there in a wheelchair and he's greeting people, and you see that at Lowe's, you see that at Home Depot, you see that everywhere, okay? And you come to Laredo and it doesn't happen, okay?
True.
I think that's a cultural thing, okay? And you're right. It's a psychology thing that's going on here, okay? It has a lot to do, it's deep rooted in our Mexican Latino culture that we're gonna protect our children from the outside world, okay? The other part about that is that you said that it's gonna have an emotional impact, okay? I will tell you that the most satisfying moments for me when I was there was when I could change people's lives, okay? There were days that were very difficult, and I went home and there was nothing really to be like excited about. But then there was times that you intervened, and I think that's what even hiring authorities or supervisors need to understand, that if you have an opportunity to change someone's life and impact it in a positive way, that's forever. You can take that home with you, and that's what sometimes a lot of us need to be fed. That it's not about the money, it's not about the title, it's about I kicked ass today, okay? Because
I love it, Danny.
Because I helped, because I helped somebody, okay, and I made someone's life better. And if you think back and reflect on you alls and what you all do, I can tell you that the best moments that you remember is when you help somebody and it lives on with you, okay? And that's the impact that you're looking for. Where as a hiring authority, you say, well, okay, it goes beyond just filling a position with a person with full capacity. It's about if I can fill it with somebody who absolutely needs it and needs a little assistance to do it, but they're doing a good job, And they're absolutely grateful because, as you say, some people, by the time they get to you, they've been through dozens and dozens of trials and tribulations and how do I get there and trainings and this and that, and by the time they get there, they're really they have an enormous amount of gratitude for opening the door for them. And so I think that's the sales pitch, okay, that we have to do is, and how do you do that? But to bring those individuals who have now taken the chance or taken the risk and hired people with disabilities, they say yes, and I don't regret it because they contribute this to the organization. But beyond that, it's what does it do for you as a hiring authority? Okay, what does it do for your person? How does it make you feel once you leave and you go home? Okay, because that's what sometimes inspires people. It's about you go home and you say, okay, so what did I do today? And you remember the little old lady that you helped or whatever, and the parent that was crying and the person this, and you intervened and you made their life different, or you changed it for the better. And I think that's the picture we need to sell. And how do you do that? And you do one person at a time. You know, in any type of motivational organization, how do you change an organization from this to that? It starts with one person at a time. And that's how you do it, okay? And so how do we do it here for what we want to do it? I think that's the way how to sell it. And I know it's difficult because sometimes people are too busy to stop and say, I don't want to get in tune with my feelings because that's not what I'm here to do.
I'm a professional.
You know, but the bottom line is that we're all humans and we're all designed the same way and we all have the same nervous systems as everybody else, okay? So what works for me and hurts you also, okay? And so I think that's where this organization or this committee needs to move
If I
towards.
may add to that, I brought to light something. I was in San Antonio a while back, and they had a symposium, and it was an awareness symposium. And what they did is they found employers within their communities who had already been successful with people with disabilities in the workforce. What they did is they brought them as speakers, and they gave an opportunity to speak to those employers who weren't as familiar. And it really impacted. I remember, this was about 3 years ago, out of there, I wasn't working in San Antonio at the time, now our company's in San Antonio also. But during that symposium, they were able to get about 21 individuals, employers, who were willing to give it a try. And now they become part of that pool. We have a pool of employers in the city of Laredo who are willing. HEB is being paramount in doing those things. That could be brought in to something like that for true training. And then I'm positive they would be more than willing to collaborate with the city or any entity for that matter and say, we have been successful in employing these practices.
And this is what we do.
And this is what we do. And because it's people teaching people to teach someone not to make a taco, but to work for a taco.
That's right.
Okay?
Well, let's do a steak, okay?
A steak, well, no, not but it really doesn't make a difference because when you hear it from me, you're going, this lady's pushy. You hear it from them, they just want someone hired. You hear it from them, oh, that's their job. But when you hear it from an employer, this is how my company has been impacted. This is what we have, and it was not I feel sorry for the person. It's like they actually contribute. They're the best. There's no turnover. All those factors come into play. But now they're hearing from someone who's actually having to pay for it. Because no one wants to waste their money.
No.
And so we're not asking for that, we're asking for an opportunity. And I think having those people talk to people who are not familiar would probably make a big impact.
So when we had the Laredo Disability Alliance, which we also represent some of us here, when we had the business symposium, we had some success stories. And one of those was a gentleman who was autistic. He'd been employed for 7-8 years. And the employer spoke, very prominent employer in Laredo, and he said, you know, there is nobody who can do this job better than he can. And he's been here at that time was 7 years. He says he'll even come and tell me, don't forget to call your nephew today. Today's his birthday. And he'd be like, and cool story. So in his success story, he was mentioning that the employer, that they were going to go to the ball game. He goes, I never had time to take my kids to the ball game. But this guy just jerks at my heart chains, and so we're going to the ball game. He says, so we're driving, and he says, no, you don't need the GPS. I'll tell you exactly how to get there. So you pass 3 stop signs, there's a blue bus. At the blue bus, you're gonna turn right. Then you're gonna see a green car. At the green car, you're gonna turn left. What if the car's not there? No, they're gonna be there because they're junk, and I've seen them. It was an amazing story. But just to tell you, I mean, how positive that feedback could be is pretty amazing. Yeah. Okay, why am I quiet?
Because I was allowing you to.
We're digesting it.
Because this is our first time together, so we need
That's
to be
right,
polite.
we're good. We're good, Danny?
No, I just wanted to add to Mr. Castellanos' earlier comment. Yes, it's a culture, and we're so used to it. I agree with you on that 100%. But I have had those calls where I'm the brother of the person with disabilities. My mom took care of him all his life. He's 30 years old. My mom passed away.
What happened?
Suddenly, I cannot take care of him. You take him. Do something. Help me. And I was like, whoa, you're kind of, no. And, I'm like, wow, like that is a very impactful statement. And I typically use this with our parents at the schools. As a matter of fact, yesterday I went with Ms. Leica, a transition counselor, to Nixon. We had some parents there, and you can see it right away. Some of them were like, no. He doesn't need any of that until he's 20. No. He doesn't need any of that. And you listen to these things and you're like, oh my gosh, and it comes to my mind, like, what if? Because we don't know that what if. But those are all impactful, and those are emotional, and those are passionate. They have to be aware. As much as we would love to be for our children, we all are like that there all the time. There's going to be a time when we're not going to be able to. Right. Whether it's because of our own disabilities, our own incapabilities, or because we're no longer there. So they have to be aware of those things, and so hopefully we can move.
And if all of us in this room worry about our children and how they're going to do it when we're gone and they're healthy and capable, so you run into families that have 45-year-old sons and they're in their 70s and they're saying, I'm scared because me falta muy poco. What's going to happen? Who's going to take care of them? Okay, and they're worried about it. Okay, and it goes back to the same thing. We run into people who had been intellectually challenged for 30 years, and we don't find out about where were they. Exactly. And they're now we're going to start working with them, and so that happens. So the cultural thing is real, is very much alive and a monster there, because at least for the Latinos, okay, it actually hinders their possibilities as opposed to improving their and opening enough doors. And so that's something, okay, that I don't know how you change that, but it's ingrained in our blood.
You hit it right on the nail there. It's very deeply rooted cultural influences, our cultural ways in which we've always behaved. And it's kind of like I said before, just because we've done it a certain way doesn't mean it's the right way, right? And so and your question is, how do we impact that? I wish I knew, right? The only thing I can say is consistency. Yesterday in the leadership class, we were talking about, I'll give you an example. He was saying, if your goal is to is to lose 50 pounds, right? You go to the gym, and after day 1, you don't see any.
Yeah, I was like, is that for me? I didn't work. I did not listen. I went back after years.
You don't see anything, right? And so sometimes after 1 week, people say, okay, yeah, I'm done, right? Because I don't see anything. Get on the scale and you don't see anything. But it's through those series of moments, right? Through those intentional moments, conversations, meetings, workshops, whatever it might be, that at the end, 6 months later, you see there was an impact. And all because of the consistency, right? That we stuck to what we said we were going to do. And it goes, I use the weight loss one is because that's what he used yesterday, right? In the video. And
don't take it personal. Don't take it personal.
But if you think about it, that's the one that we stick to the most, right? You make a change and it's hard. You got to stick with it, and at the same time, that particular one was about leadership. But it's not one thing that makes you a leader. It's not one thing that makes you an advocate. It's a series of decisions and conversations and actions that you do and you say that make you that. And so if we're going to make, I can't say how, right, because I don't know how, but the what behind it or the why behind it is really about the consistency, right? We, starting with the education, sticking with the awareness, the passion behind all of it, we will get there. There will be a positive impact. It's gonna start small, but every big behavioral change starts small.
And I want to
Every single
share
one.
something in regards to the education. I'm part of the sensitivity training, and I deal, of course, with the blindness and with the visual impairment. But I think we would be more than open and welcome to get that aspect from a business because, of course, because we are all employees through VRS, we do get our presentations vetted and, but even then, maybe it's not even the appropriate. I know we had was it last year that we had
2018 was the last sensitivity
and
awareness.
it
training we did.
was a couple of days or 2 days.
It was 2 days.
2 days.
Several sessions.
And even then, constructive criticism, how they say, that feedback, like, hey, and it can be like, I did feel that maybe it was a bit too long because I spoke about, the blind and visually impairment, and then it was a physical, and then it was a mental, so it kind of tends to, after a while, I want to say from the perspective of an employer, it can be kind of like, okay, I have something to do, So how do we make the most impact out of the time that they give us? I know there was a suggestion to try to make them a little bit more, like for a day, I think, or like
to reduce it from
to reduce it
from like a 4 hour
4 hour
to like an hour
and
training because
it was
the length of time.
Yeah, like
What was the training about?
it was sensitivity awareness. And even I realized that and there's so much information that you want to give out, and then of course I want to talk about so many things in that time frame that you kind of leave people spinning, you're like, and what I found from my trainings when I became part of DARS back then, the most impactful to me of my trainings was having actually, it was the immersion training. Myself, again, I'm no expert, but for 2 full weeks, I had to wear a blindfold. And from 8 to 5, of course, for lunch, we could take it off. But everything I did during those 2 weeks, it was under blindfold, just because I needed to experience, what that was, what, my customers were going through, and also something else. And we have a new counselor for the transition, for the young adults, for the blind and visually impaired. And she came back from a training, like a week training, and one of the other counselors is actually blind. And she herself was like, I did not know, what it is, all the efforts, and this individual, she has so many abilities, extremely, smart, intelligent, and even then I didn't know how to address her. And I was like, you're gonna have another training where it's an open panel, and you get to ask anything your heart desires. Like in that open panel actually also helped me, because a lot of the misconceptions and how do we say this, and even simple things as like, how do you do your makeup, because I see that you have beautiful, like, so things like that I want to say is what gets people actually interested, and it makes engaged and it makes the most impact. So I'm pretty sure I speak for everybody, like we're very willing and open to to have that feedback and be like, hey, you can tweak this, and again, the psychology in it, I'm all up for it.
If I may to add that, when we had the white cane at the workforce, that little mini training for the staff, we actually borrowed from VR their white canes from Sandra. I borrowed the white canes and the blindfolds, and I made the staff wear the blindfolds and use the cane around what our co-worker, Mr. Raul, he does that every day with his white cane because he's completely blind. And so they went through it, and I can tell you, like, they all had something to say. It was extremely impactful, and it only took about 15 minutes because we only told them, go and bring this from this room, And they're like, how am I gonna know? Figure it out. No, I'm just kidding. But it was even that 10 minutes that they had to do things, they had to do one simple task with the blindfold. It was very impactful to them.
It's like they say you don't know until you walk in those shoes.
Exactly.
Yes.
But
And
also the way, I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
But also, it's, people talk about, well, the people that are born with disabilities, right? But we at the center, we see youngsters, we see older men, we see women that go into they weren't born like that. And so when we give presentations, I remember I would give presentations, of course, asking for money to continue our mission, right? And then someone would come up and say, well, I don't have anyone with a disability, I don't have a child with autism, I don't have, but then I thought, well, and so I would start my presentations then, this morning you were able to get up on your own 2 feet, you were able to comb your hair, you didn't wait and beg for someone to come and help you just get out of bed, right? And so, but we're all exposed, We leave this room when we get into that metal box car, and we can have an accident because we have a gentleman right now that he went to work, he fell off a building, and now he's paralyzed from the waist down. And but we impact those people. But when I tell them it can happen to any one of you, so it's an investment because who knows 10 years from now, 3 years from now. Right now at the center, I'm kind of making accommodations because I don't have surgery on my leg, and I'm saying, how am I going to get through this street? I'm going to have to move my office around and make accommodations so that I'm going to be in a wheelchair for at least, 4 weeks. So it's true, those things, the blindfold thing I just told you, we should have each employer or the office that can, not the therapist, so you can know how it feels like. I don't know that unless you have a child that has a disability or a relative, you don't really know. Those you really already have the attention and say, no, I'm going to give because, I was there, my child was there, he had autism or had Down syndrome or, suicide attempts. And we have so many different diagnoses there at the center. It's not just a back, a knee pain, back pain. We have victims of direct crime that now can't walk, or now a stroke that now intellectually they're not the same. So all of us, it's not that we're not born with it, but we can become one of those in that community.
Yeah, to add to that, when I was in healthcare for a long time before I crossed
what you're doing now?
Yes. And I remember thinking, I asked the neurosurgeon one time, what does it take for you to be completely fine? To be like this, because we were looking at an MRI for a person who had a real severe bleed, and the person had to have emergency intervention to be able to survive or potentially survive. And he said nothing, a breath. He goes, you could be eating dinner with your family and having fun, celebrating a birthday, and the next second you're on the floor, like your brain ruptures your arteries, and the brain rupture, you're done. And I was like, what? Wait a second, I thought you had to have nothing. You could be 25, you could be 30, you could be 80.
We have those.
And we have them, and I've seen that. And a lot of us don't think about those things because we don't like to think about those things. But what if you would survive a stroke? What if you would survive a heart attack? What if you would survive a very bad vehicle accident or any kind of accident? Those are the type of things we need to, and they're very impactful as well.
And that's a great point. Yeah, that's a great point. And that's where we come in as vocational rehabilitation, because we're talking about people with disabilities, maybe they were born this way, but people who acquire through an accident or whatever, disability, we have dollars, we have money, a lot of money to help rehabilitate that person, because the state is all about, I'm going to help you, I'm going to get you a leg, but I'm going to go to work, right? So that's what we're about, and people don't know that. People need to know that. You begin to lose your hearing, your vision. There was a gentleman who was in the energy industry, and in a car accident, it almost severed his arm. So he's like, I cannot do what I was doing anymore. So he was rehabilitated, and now he became a phlebotomist, and now he's going through nursing. Something he said, I never even thought I would be a big tough guy. He says, I never even thought this could happen, but that's why we're here. Right. We've got those resources, and people need to know. Even though you're full and healthy, ailments begin to set in, there's money, and we've got money to help people.
Okay, so can I bring us back to the agenda?
Yes.
We're trying to get the passion and emotion impactful there.
Thank you, Daniel, for keeping us on track.
I don't know how, but anyway, I guess what I got from our conclusion or from our discussion is that there's still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think what we need to search is how do we motivate individually those persons in a hiring authority to actually take that risk and take that chance. And so it's something that needs further investigation or research. As you say, you're not the subject matter expert. Okay, so we need to either find them or identify how that can be done. Okay.
What if we start with the sensitivity training and then giving you feedback for that? Because I've not seen it, right?
Right.
So myself, taking it without ever seeing it.
Right.
Just taking it.
Yeah.
And then writing
Show it
down
to
my
you.
notes. Yeah.
And
Writing
start
down my
building
notes and
from
then say,
there.
Maybe
Yeah, I
that's
think
the way
that's
to-
great.
I think
That's
so.
the starting
Yeah,
point.
because that way you bring the subject matter experts, right?
Yeah.
And then you can tell us how we need this.
And then even then, because those couple of days, I don't know if all the hiring managers were present. I know we had a lot of staff, and I know, the City of Laredo gets really busy and you're called into meetings and you send somebody in, a representative, but then that person is not actually a person a decision maker.
Exactly.
So that's where also I believe there needs to be something, when it comes to that, of course, to be like, well, you as a hiring manager have to, go to this, but we can start most definitely from there. That would be our sort of.
Let me take that one, right? Making sure that the right people are present. So I'll take that. And I'll take the status update on the driver's licenses. I'll take the getting the right people to the table conversation. I'm not, let's say in a month, right? You guys meet every month? Is that what it is? Okay. So in a month, when I come back with that, then I'll come back with a status update to see, and then hopefully, I believe I have cards, so I'll give you my card. That way we can arrange for what that would look like.
Right.
So I know you're trying to corral us to get some action. I see it, I get it.
He's gonna climb on the table.
No, because if I let you on, we'll be here till 3 in the afternoon.
I think what we're doing right now is we're building relationships, and I think, from my perspective, relationships are extremely important. The reason why I'm able to place people to work where I do, and where they want to work, in the industry they want to work, is because I build that relationship with that employer. And that's important, because without that, you have nothing. If you don't build relationship with the different departments, then we can't move forward, because they can't buy in into, I know we have no problem with you buying in. We need to build relationship with those department heads. And I think that sensitivity training will be beginning for it. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll take it from there. Any other items that you all want to contribute that are on the agenda?
I'm sorry.
No, it was a conversation.
No, we're fine, it's a meet and greet thing.
It's a meet and greet.
No, there's a reason why everyone that's at this table is at this table, okay? There's a reason for that, okay? Whether it's because it may have begun because of your job, but there's a true concern and passion to make improvements in people's lives, okay? Because that's what gives our life meaning also. We're not, it's meaning anything.
Thank
So,
you, Danny.
Can I suggest something?
I think that's very important. Yes, sir, absolutely, Mr.
Yes,
Ayala.
I was thinking about the part where it says driver's license. Could it be possible to add driver's license or ID?
So that's what we're researching, right? And so we've contacted other municipalities, and I'm not, just to see what it is that they do. They do ask for driver's licenses. I just don't know how they get around combination. So, and that's what I'm looking for. That's what the research is. So that's certainly going to be part of the update that we provide, the status update that we provide on
Okay.
next month. But that's definitely on the list of what it is that we're looking for.
So do we put you on our agenda for next month?
Yes.
Or
What
you want
day
more?
is it?
Or you want more time?
I don't need more time. We're
It'll probably be the third Wednesday. I think the only reason why we changed it was because, why did we change it to Thursday? Because I think you were available today.
It's because January 11th through March 11th, I have a commitment every Wednesday from 8 to 12 here, that leadership and the capability training that I was mentioning. So that's,
Is that open to the public, Ms. Ramirez?
that particular one is not. However, I'm trying to get there where we do things like that, yes.
Because it sounds like a great.
It looks like March 18th would be the third Wednesday of March. But I'm gonna say something, I think that's spring break,
Spring break.
so it's not gonna work, because I know my people.
I don't
I will be in town on about next.
March 18th is fine for me. I don't have kids, right? So I don't have to worry about.
We'll look at it, because if there's too many people out,
No
then
worries.
we'll have to reschedule either, I guess, for a later date.
Yes,
Would work.
I'm just not available on the 11th.
Okay,
Okay, but the following week, so the week of the 15th, which is the Sunday, starting that, I'm available again on
Okay.
Wednesdays.
So maybe we look at the 19th so we can solidify, because they've got to submit it to council and everything, right?
But that's spring break week, the whole week.
That's what they're
Maybe the
saying.
following week?
The following week, is that too late?
I know I won't be in town on, but Becky.
The 25th?
No, I won't be here either.
Yeah.
Spring break.
break.
25th is fine for me.
The 25th, Daniel?
yeah, the 25th then.
And then it can be a special meeting like today.
Yeah.
Like it can
Yeah, well, the 25th, then we can go for the 25th.
That way we can lock something in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I make an announcement?
Yeah.
I make it very short. Next year, February the 12th, we have Night to Shine again, for those of you that were not able, the 12th, that were not able to make it. I just got contacted by HEB Corporate. They're wanting us to approach their HEB Corporation people here, and they want to make sure that all their management becomes a dating buddy for the day.
Volunteer,
A
that's
volunteer that day.
awesome.
So if any of you are interested, I'm giving you a 1-year notice.
Okay, thank you so
Very
much.
good.
1-year notice, Mr.
Absolutely.
And just one last announcement, if I may.
I will have an announcement.
You have nothing done on February the 12th.
Oh, you-
Yes, because very WDCA, so I was committed to it.
Mr. Delgado,
Go ahead, Mr. Delgado.
Yeah.
Problem.
Go ahead.
I have an announcement also that we're already working on the White Cane Awareness Day
Yes,
for
we
October.
will.
We're already working on it. Ms. Luz Garcia, I think is going to contact Dr. Gonzalez about
Yes.
permits and all that.
Okay.
Oh,
That's
So-
great.
So we're working
That's
right now. And my group's growing.
That's awesome, Mr.
So I'm
Delgado.
going,
Good job.
yeah.
So, I'm sorry, real quick. So we took a youth mental health first aid training and there's no cost. And it was an amazing training. I don't know who's taking it or not. I'm not involved in this at all, but I did commit to the trainer that I would share the information. It is an 8-hour training. It's a 3-year certification. Yeah, through AHEC. They've got some grant monies and they were able to give that training and it was really, really good. You'll cry, you'll laugh, you'll have no time to get bored in those 8 hours. So,
It's gonna be here locally.
locally, reach out to her, because I told her I'd be sure to get with you, because
I
I
got one
think
that was in Bronx.
that's right up your alley. Right
I will
up
call.
town. Yes,
Yes, thank you.
Carla, she's amazing.
Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Any other announcements or?
That's all.
I was wondering if I could, I wanted to just, I brought some of these
Got
up.
it, okay.
These t-shirts are from our summer camp, special needs camp for children, and they're children's shirts, so, but if you have someone that you would wanna give it to, but I was gonna raffle them, I didn't bring the tickets, but I thought,
Thank you.
I already told Addie the numbers, so we go around, a number from 1 through 15, and then that'll be the winner of the shirts, hopefully they can win.
So I need to give you a number?
Yes,
Yes.
1 through 15.
3.
Thank you.
Yes.
Ya gané.
So lucky.
So, next,
Thank you.
7.
Addie, what was the number? The other number?
No, don't say it out loud.
No, but she, okay, I'm sorry, that's right. She said 7. 3. We didn't even get this far.
Wait, Jackie, we should talk about you hosting us for one of the meetings so that we can do the walkthrough,
Okay.
right? I think that'd be great. Yeah, I asked the chair of his.
What do you think, Mr. Castillo?
Are you gonna get sweet bread from, ¿cómo se llama?
From Quickie Bakery.
Quickie Bakery.
Definitely.
Sí, sí, vamos.
You've done a lot of new stuff. I think that'd be great. And you can actually, hopefully, the rehab will be there and you can see a therapist. They have a passion for what
They have a beautiful facility.
They really do, ¿verdad, Jaime?
Mr. Castillo,
Ya.
how did it go in Rio Grande?
So I guess the next
Ahorita le
meeting.
cuento.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Ya sé. ¿Tú no me estuvo Dr. González, verdad?
That way we're kind of in communication.
No,
Yes.
Dr. Gonzalez no estuvo aquí hoy.
Sí, yo sé.
Okay, so can we conclude the meeting?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so I need someone to motion.
I motion.
Second.
Okay, thank you all for being here.
Third, fourth.
Thank you all to all your work. Nice meeting you.
Nice
It was a
meeting you.
pleasure meeting you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much for remembering our voice.
Rincón.
Ah, yeah.
I'm right here.
Okay.